Come on, dude. You don't think that we would be drunk at a baseball game, counting down the clock with everybody else?
Oh God, that was so
Come on, Lee. Come on,
that
baby.
almost made me want to leave the fucking game.
Recorded live from Studio 12A in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. You're listening to the Josh and Friends Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Josh and Friends Podcast. I am your host. My name is Josh. And joining me today is Mr. Bruce Noslow. And in honor of this year's baseball season, I thought we'd dive into some awesome topics about America's pastime. Everything from collecting baseball cards to the music that's played, as well as the popularity of the sport over the years and our thoughts on the new time clock. So it's time to break out those peanuts and Cracker Jacks and help me welcome back to the program Mr. Baseball himself, the one and only Lee Olson. Lee Olson, welcome back, buddy.
What's up, dude?
How you doing?
I'm all right. Back in the Pacific Northwest. Feels good.
You look good.
I don't think we've potted since... Well, thanks, man. I mean, I don't quite believe you, but, that's what friends say, so it's fine.
You kind of look like
I'm digging your
those...
mustache.
Yeah, thanks, man. You like that?
And by the way, is the Thomas Magnum shirt kind of the uniform now?
I think so. I think, I've been rocking it for quite some time now, so...
I mean, it's a cool uniform. I dig it.
I like the kind of like the special needs like helmet that you have.
So this is my swelmet that I made for the playoffs last year.
I love it.
And then they lost every fucking game, so I
so
gotta get
you're
some
just
mileage
gonna
out of it now because I can never wear it to another game.
Oh, okay. So it tanked the Mariners. Now you just want to tank my show here?
Well, that's the hope. That way I'll have more free time altogether. I won't have to watch baseball or go to baseball, and
right.
My Friday evenings will be free.
Boom! There you go. So speaking of baseball, I thought we'd take some time out to talk about some baseball because baseball season it's well underway now.
It is.
But so I thought that it's a no-brainer to have Mr. Baseball on here.
Well, let's not rush that judgment.
Why? You don't believe you're like Mr. Baseball over here?
No.
Well, I mean, that's
no.
Yeah, I guess that's Tom Selleck.
I mean,
right?
look, we have at least one friend that played Major League Baseball in both Japan and America, so he had a great career. I think he started at Yakima Valley. I'm not sure about where he started.
No, I know who you're talking about, and he was like the coach there was like something Whitehead or something. I can't remember. Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And, so we definitely have some.
I mean, he's got to be Mr. Baseball, the guy who played, and then I think he had a great career in the intelligence world after that. So that was really good.
Fluent in like Russian. Okay. So anyway, we have.
So I'll accept that I worked in baseball for a bit.
There you go. For a bit, 20 years.
And shit.
That's a great career. Well, okay.
I mean, most of it part-time, if we're being honest. But
all right, okay. Well, hey,
I've been on a few major league fields.
It's better than us. What was your badge number?
58.
58.
Yeah, 0058.
Yeah. I wonder what they're up to now. Do you know?
I mean, they were at 5,000 10 years ago, so
there you
over
go.
5,000. So
there you go. So there's some street cred for you right there.
Ish, except the guys who started when I started didn't need to log in like I did. The only people who get badge numbers are the ones who had to beep boop into the thing, and they had to make an exception for me and figure out how to do it because it was all 4 digits, and I was like, I guess we do zeros then. So 0058.
So you and I, we kind of like, we both grew up baseball fans, and I mean I was a much bigger baseball fan back in the day. I kind of lost my baseball, following probably in college sometime, but baseball kind of like brought us together because like we met in high school, and you weren't even supposed to go to our high school, right? You went there for baseball, right?
Yeah, I made the horrible decision to. It was, I mean. So I lived in a different school district, in the Sumner School District, but my dad lived in the Auburn School District, And I chose to go to Auburn. My sister went to Auburn as well. Like, we just thought it was going to be a better school. I think both of our parents thought that the Sumner District wasn't great. So that's kind of why we went. But, if I had known the friends I would have met at Auburn and, that they would be my friends all these years later, I definitely would have gone to Sumner.
You could have, like been a millionaire and met, some great people along the way, but then you met us.
Well, I mean, forget the millions and all that. At least my friends wouldn't be assholes.
That's true. But
if we're being honest, I fit right in. Like maybe the world does have order.
And that's kind of how you met Dunham too, right? Like, because you guys were kind of like competing for the same position.
Yeah. And he was better than me by far. I could hit, and I could hit.
You could hit better than him, right?
A better arm. What's that?
Let's break this down. So who had what, and who was better at what?
He was a better catcher. He was more athletic. He could run faster, and he could block the ball, and he knew how to play the coaches. I say that lovingly. Like, he just knew how to respond to the coaches, and I didn't. But I was a better hitter. I had a better arm.
He's an ass kisser.
He is an ass kisser.
Yeah.
And I say that he just knew how to play the coaches, and so we both had our strengths. Ultimately,
and by the way,
he was a better baseball player.
That shouldn't be played down. That's like a huge factor in sports. Like, I didn't do that
in
either.
Life.
Yeah,
in
right.
life. Like you better learn to get along with the guy that makes the decisions, whether you agree with him or not. And that's not a skill I've cultivated well in my life.
Yeah, you and I were kind of quiet. In high school, we didn't really talk. We talked to each other.
And we both shared the same coach. I mean, like you in football, me in baseball. He was a really abrasive dude. I guess maybe that's the word. And it's hard to go up against that when you're not a very confident, high school kid.
Yeah.
And looking back, if I had the confidence that I gained later in life, I'd have told him to fuck off, and I'd have got in there, and I would have been a better baseball player. Because the funny thing was, I was a really confident baseball player before I came there. But I mean, I was decent at baseball. But then I got there and I started believing that he was telling, he told a lot of people,
cocky and confident dude. Like, so it's like, whoa, okay, well.
But he was also a dude that would tell you suck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
I remember when I made the baseball team as a sophomore, he came up to me and said, "Hey, I don't want you to get a big head. We don't cut catchers."
Okay.
And at that moment, I was like, fuck, I thought I was good. Like, I've been good at every other level. Now I'm not good. And instead of sort of building people, he was one of those dudes that pushed them down and said, you better respond. Which is also, like, I get it. I get that that's a coaching strategy, and I don't even really dislike it now as an adult. But at the time, I wasn't confident enough to say anything. And Ryan was. Ryan was a guy that would say, go fuck yourself.
Right. Yeah, Ryan talked a lot of trash, and yeah, he was, yep. I agree.
Made him a better baseball player. He was the better baseball player, for sure. He was more athletic. I was a big, slow dude with a good arm.
You had an arm, though. You did have an arm, so let's not sugarcoat.
So did you. You remember when we used to go out to the football? I mean, you had a good arm, too. Remember, it is weird because I don't know how athletic most people are, but like you and I, remember we would go out on the football field and we'd be throwing the ball, standing at the 50 and throwing, field goals.
Right.
And then I heard one time after we graduated high school, like Brock Hewer did that and everybody was impressed. And I was like, you and I were doing that a while ago. Like, because you had a good arm too. Like,
it is interesting because when you talk to other people or when you even play like with regular people and I learned this because we just would hang out with each other and our little group of friends, but our group of friends were like athletes, right?
Yeah.
And then we would like hang out with other people who said they were like, athletes. And I was like, oh dude, like maybe we were like a little bit better than we gave each other credit for.
Confidence is such a strange thing because I didn't have any in high school. I think probably most kids don't. And I think the X factor in sports is confidence. Because if you get confidence early, you get access to good teams, you get access to good coaching, you get access to good, equipment. And really the only, I think most people who step on an athletic field are pretty similar. And then you start in Little League and you move all the way up. And if the kid that's confident gets more attention, by the time he's done with high school, he's really good. But confidence, how do you do that? You know,
you're absolutely right, because I had physical talent, I could throw a ball, but I was not confident. I wasn't able to go out there and run a whole team, and that was part of my problem. I didn't want to, like you said, I didn't want to coach under a guy that wanted to change my throwing style, even though I had a throwing style that worked. So I was kind of scared of that.
So you and I share exactly that thing. He tried to change my throwing style, which was, as it turns out, fucking textbook. I should have been coaching him for how to throw to second base. You should have been coaching him on how to throw the football. And by the way, you and I have a very similar release, just a snap to the ear and go.
The quickest way from A to B,
and with all the velocity that you need. So yeah, he definitely was a dude that wanted it his way, and he didn't really care what the best way was, and you had to comply. But if
you know what I was thinking about the other day? So Lee, this is kind of funny that we're talking about this, because I was going through, I started putting up these videos of us back in the day, just playing Turkey Bowl. And the fact that I had the vision to record these, or have my brother or Ange or whatever record these actual games just with that crappy camcorder that I had. Most people weren't doing that. Nobody had camcorders back in the day. I had them right before everyone started getting cell phones. So but man, it kind of captured some of that. And also, I just found the footage of our last ever Turkey Bowl, and it's fantastic. I'd never seen it until this year. I'd never ever seen it.
Is that the one that's
fun to watch? It's the Snow
I think
Bowl.
I know which one you're talking
one.
about. So that's the one where all the girls came and all awesome. I do remember
the year before when we had the news team there, but this is the following year when it's pouring snow. Yeah, and it's awesome, man. It's probably the best Turkey Bowl that I've seen. So I'm going to be posting that probably. I don't know when I will be posting that, but it's fun to watch. There's a lot of cool.
Those are so fun, but also God, fucking getting old, and to any kids out there, just enjoy your athleticism until you're 29. Because the shit starts fucking falling apart after that in a real tangible way. I remember that Turkey Bowl. I was in so much pain, it felt like somebody poured concrete down my spine. I can remember running around. I'm like, oh God, I need to hit someone hard without running. And I remember just kind of running around out there looking for someone to hit. And I was
Lee, this is the Turkey Bowl that I still to this day, I'm pretty positive I broke my leg.
Yes.
And I was I remember I wasn't even working at the time. I had didn't have insurance, and I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm done. Yeah. This is and when I'm done, it's basically the end of Turkey Bowl, because I was the one that always would round up everybody. So I don't know if there's any other Turkey Bowls that have come since, but
that was so awesome, and there's so many good memories there. But sports are kind of a weird thing, because I think people in high school or sort of growing up, they congregate around the thing that they're interested in, whether it's music or sports or whatever. And I think music can kind of hang out for the rest of your life. You can be with those people, but sports, all the people who chose sports, that's a hard group to keep together, because your bodies fall apart, and you just can't be. You can't do it.
I mean, geez, you're talking to a guy that I can hardly sleep. I'll be laying on my side, and I'm like, I keep trying to lay on my right side, and I'm like, it hurts too bad to lay on this side, so I have to lay on my left side, and I'm like, dude, this is it. This is how it is now. I'm like, all right.
Do you want me to go in the other room and grab my special fucking neck pillow so that I can kind of sleep?
No, let's move on.
I've got other shit that's going on so sleep has been a big deal for me. Anyway.
Oh gosh, yeah. No.
So kids, if you fucking want to see a vision into the future, it's that sleep will hurt.
I love that you think that kids are watching this.
No, I think that kids will watch it sometime later when the internet, kind of is a novelty, and they'll go back and look at some things and find archives of shit. No, they don't care. Right. Kids are not listening to us right now.
I hear you. So, back when we were in school, when we were in maybe, elementary, junior high, baseball cards were a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when we got in like high school, it started getting like you could tell they started getting overproduced, and like even the designs were kind of getting.
I mean, let's just mark it where it was.
Right?
It was the 1989 Upper Deck set with Griffey as card number 1. That's when it went from kind of fun, kind of let's trade with our friends, and it's no big deal. Put them in your spokes of your bike, to a premium card that now is an investment quality thing.
Well,
and
also,
that's when it changed. That's really when it changed.
And also that's when all the the Beckett's started coming out.
Yeah.
The
price guides. As soon as you have a price guide for a thing, it becomes a speculative. It's like stocks. Yeah. It's a speculative asset. So, and that's what happened to all of us that collected cards. Is right when we were in high school. 1989. That's junior high into high school, and Griffey came out, and Griffey was the number 1 card in the '89 Upper Deck set, and he became a Hall of Famer. He was the number 1 pit.
And by the way, it really is that too, because I watched this. I don't know if you've seen that documentary about baseball cards, but they actually point to that as well. It's not just us thinking fondly of growing up. That is the moment.
That is the moment.
Changed.
That is objectively the moment that baseball cards turned from sort of cheap 25-cent packs to trade with your friends to let's invest and maybe you'll pay your house off.
Right. Yeah, and then. So now, what are some of the most memorable cards that you could think of? Like, obviously Griffey, but like, then there's.
I mean,
what are the first ones that come to your head? Because I have a couple written down.
The first memorable card that comes to my head is the 1989 Fleer Billy Ripken fuckface card.
That's the first one I had written down.
It is, yeah. That's the. I mean,
and they had like different versions of it, right? So they had.
So when they produce cards, it's just fucking running. It's like a printing press. So when somebody says, "Oops, we made a mistake," there are sort of various versions of corrections. So like first they like scratch it out, and then second somebody goes and fixes it with like an actual box, and then it's whatever photoshopped or whatever. So errors have different versions, but yeah, that first one, that first card, and for those that don't know, Billy Ripken was standing there and he was holding his bat, and this is the lesser known Ripken brother. He was Cal's brother, and he was just holding his bat in the photo, and on the knob of the bat, it said "fuckface."
Yeah,
and
this
nobody
is what he's known for, by the way.
Yeah, of course, because he's Billy Ripken. Who the fuck knows Billy Ripken for anything on the baseball field? And it's brilliant, by the way. Like, it's fantastic.
Right.
I don't know.
Right, and I think isn't he even like smiling in it, like
Oh, of course,
like
he had to know. He had. To know.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's so great.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yep.
Obviously, the other one that comes to mind is kind of the same era, the Bo Jackson football, baseball. Black and white.
Yeah, the arms and the
love it. That's a great one. He's wearing isn't he wearing the pads with the bat or whatever? So great.
Yeah.
And then if you want to go back in history, then people at that point in time they started going back and they're like, well, the Mickey Mantle 52 tops. That's a big one right there. But like those some of those older cards are really expensive because they're hard to find, right? Like they're like
and that's like I remember when we were in high school. Nobody gave a shit about cards until we were just about in high school. And then it was as far back as you could go, they were looking for rarity. And like I remember the T206 1910 or whatever Honus Wagner card was for decades the most expensive card in the world. And I actually remember in our sophomore year in Mr. Deal's class, there was a kid in there that collected baseball cards, and he and I talked or whatever, and he had a T206 red Grange baseball card, and he bet me that I couldn't make a shot with a crumpled up piece of paper in the garbage can from across the room. And I was like, dude, you better not bet me this because I'm going to make it, and I'm going to take your fucking card. And he's like, I bet you. And I made it, and I wish I could remember this kid's name. He brought the card and he gave it to me.
Are you serious?
I sold it for like $500. No, I sold it for like $500 then.
No way.
Yeah.
Wonder what it's worth now.
I'd have to look it up. I don't know. Maybe I can look it up while we're looking.
$500? That's crazy.
Yeah, and it was kind of trashed, but it was in like a 1911 baseball card. I'm gonna look and
I just looked up the Honus Wagner 1909 T206.
Yep, 1909. Okay. Yep.
Went for $6.6 million in 2021.
Yep. So now that shit's different because a lot of it is, I mean, like all the Jeters and the Trouts and the Ohtani cards are going to be worth. I mean, Ohtani is changing everything. Shohei Ohtani is if anybody isn't a baseball fan and isn't paying attention, you don't even need to be a baseball fan. That guy is changing baseball. He is a modern day Babe Ruth, except Babe Ruth didn't play against black people or any other minorities. So
right.
He's better than Babe Ruth so far by a long shot.
Wow.
And people are like, meh, okay, he plays on the Angels and they suck. Which they do. They're fucking terrible, which is shocking.
He's like the one good thing about the Angels?
Well, two. It's him and Mike Trout.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
God.
Which both of those guys did you watch any of the World Baseball Classic?
No.
God
I watched
damn,
some of the Mariners last year.
Fantastic. It was fantastic. And a bunch of people are saying, oh, stop the World Baseball Classic. It interrupts spring training. People get injured. It doesn't mean anything. It's fuck Pro Bowl, blah, 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 blah. Dude, that was the best baseball I've seen played in 5 years. It was it was amazing. And it ended up the way every single person wanted it to be, which was the U.S. versus the Japanese team with Shohei Ohtani versus Mike Trout. And they literally came down to the last fucking at-bat, a 3-2 count in the fucking ninth, with Trout having a chance to tie or win the game, and Shohei Ohtani struck him out. Like, it was, you could not have scripted it. Those guys are teammates on the same team in the major leagues, and their two teams made the championship. I don't know. It was amazing. It was really stunning.
That's wild.
So, I don't know. The people should have paid attention to that, but I'm trying to find it here. I think I found it. I'm going to try and show you something on my phone. I don't know if it's going to work, but I did see this dumb
I can always flash it up in post, so, like, yeah.
Oh,
whatever.
true. I'll show you, and you can cut it out if you want.
Right.
But so what it is like, it's a post that says, like, the World Baseball Classic team with Mike Trout, and it's like the snake with, like, a super serious, like, badass look. It says the World Baseball team with Shohei Ohtani, and it's like another badass one. And then it says the actual Major League Baseball team with both of them, and it's a total retard. Like, yeah. So
that's awesome.
I don't know, but it's totally true because the Angels are terrible. They fucking suck. So
that's so weird. But
it is.
You know, it's all about it. Hey, it's a team sport, right? So
yeah.
Right?
Well, and just the Angels, it is weird when there is no expectation for winning. Honestly, that's what plagued the Mariners for the last 20 years. Isn't that they didn't have good players or that they couldn't have won. It's that there was no expectation to win. And so the players that showed up were like, nah, I'm on a working vacation here. And nobody gave a shit. I mean, especially the fucking ownership. I mean, that's the thing that happened when Kevin Mather got fired from the Mariners, is it finally made them prove that they were trying to be a good baseball team on the field, because they were not. As evidence, they profited the most money of any Major League Baseball team last year.
Wow.
So they were a very profitable team because they didn't win. And Kevin Mather's a great fucking accountant, not a great baseball guy who wants to win baseball games. And once he got fleshed out, the team was sort of forced into a corner to say, ooh, maybe we should try and win. Maybe we have to prove that we're trying to win. So anyway.
Well, Lee, you want to answer some random baseball questions? I have a bunch of just random baseball questions here, and I'm just gonna shoot them off to you here. See what you think. We want your opinion on some of these here. Some of these are pretty ridiculous, by the way. So brace yourself. All right. Yeah. First question: should they bring back steroids in the Major League Baseball?
Bring them back? They're already back. Fernando Tatis is just coming off of suspension. Come on.
But now, it's not as rampant, right, as it used to be.
No. After the strike in '94, Bud Selig basically just told everybody, go nuts. Go fucking nuts. We need players. We didn't have a World Series in '94.
And it worked.
It did work. Of course it works. Like, guys are breaking records that weren't broken for 100 years. Of course. Like, people want excitement. Like, I get that. Yes. So anyway, yeah. But they're back, but they also have to kind of pretend that they want just the right amount of entertainment.
Do you think, like, Trout and stuff, like, they're on? Right. No,
it's interesting.
It's such a science now, right? Like, Lance Armstrong, they couldn't even crack, like, that he was on. Like, everyone's like, dude, he's doping. He is.
Right.
He's doping. And
Right.
they're like, we keep testing him. Like, I swear, we're not finding anything.
Right. I don't think Trout is, just because he has basically looked the same his entire career. I mean, like, going back to just sort of the eye test is important in shit like that. Like, Barry Bonds' head grew. Like, his face grew. Like,
it's like ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, and he was a skinny dude.
Well, so did McGuire.
Yeah.
Sosa.
And McGuire was a big dude, but that would be like Trout. So if Trout ended up looking like McGuire, I think, Except like Trout is built giant. Like McGuire was. Yeah. Like, Trout is built similar to McGuire in 1987. McGuire was a big dude, broad shoulders. He's taller than Trout, but I don't think the marquee players are really willing to do it and risk things at the moment. A couple of them are. I mean, Tatis, obviously. I think it's harder for them to get away with. But I don't know. Yeah,
Okay. Lee,
They're definitely there.
What is your favorite baseball movie? Now, I'm gonna break this down here. I'm gonna break it down into 3 categories. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, favorite kids movie, favorite comedy, and favorite drama. So if you were to pick, like, the first one.
Well, there's a fourth one, because I almost snapped off. It's a clear winner for my favorite baseball movie.
Okay.
And nobody knows what it is, and everybody should go check it out. It's called The Battered Bastards of Baseball. It's a documentary. I think it's on Netflix or Prime or whatever. It's perpetually around. It is a story about how Kurt Russell. So first of all, Kurt Russell played professional baseball.
Yes, I did see that. Yeah,
it's
awesome.
amazing. It is amazing. It is everything that we want out of sports and baseball and
super
drama.
Cool.
It's amazing. So The Battered Bastards of Baseball is the best baseball movie, I think, of all time.
I think we charged Bing $500 for the franchise.
So we started from scratch. We're going to have open tryouts. Show us for the fools that we are, coming from Hollywood.
You'd expect maybe 40 or 50 people to show up, and I think 300 showed up.
Guys who drove, clear across the country and sacrificed this or sold this just for the chance to come and try out for the team.
I don't care, about the money. I just want to play ball.
There was no press handlers. There was no groomed image. There was just these furry, hairy, funny, great bunch of guys. And the things that happened on the field were absolutely insane.
Organized baseball didn't like Bing, and they did everything they could to make sure Bing didn't win.
We broke attendance records in the entire minor leagues that year.
We really emphasized fun.
The fans loved it.
I've never seen a ball team and fans behave the way they did with the Mavericks.
He created the most successful team in the history of minor league baseball. This is going to be magic.
Best kids movie? Come on, it's The Sandlot.
It's not Angels in the Outfield?
No, it isn't. Nor The Rookie. Or whatever that one is with the kid in Chicago. Yeah, whatever. Comedy is it's got to be Bull Durham, but that one's kind of a mix
over Major League.
I mean, yeah, Bull Durham's a better movie than Major League. I love the Major League, but Bull Durham's a better movie.
Okay.
And then,
favorite drama.
But is Bull Durham a drama?
I don't know. I mean, there's comedy in it, but Major League, there's no getting around. Like, that's a comedy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a full on comedy. That's made to be a comedy. Like, Bull Durham, you can kind of go either way. Like, there's
so I'll do an honorable mention then somewhere in here. Major League is the best pure comedy. Bull Durham is one of the best baseball movies, and then the pure drama is The Natural.
Okay, all right.
So, like, I mean, they're all kind of tucked in there. They're all different movies, but The Battered Bastards of Baseball.
We got to give it to Randy Newman. I still get chills when I see that
music.
That movie, The Natural, man. It's one of those chill movies. You're like, oh man. Yeah. Even though it's like ridiculous, but it's like, man, chills.
He even did he did the music for Major League.
It's fantastic.
That beginning.
Burn On.
Song.
Yeah.
Burn On. Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
Yep.
Lee, will we ever see a female athlete in the major leagues?
Yeah, you will. Well, okay, so here's the question. We're going to have to define what gender is for sports. Like, that's going to have to be a chemical sort of definition, right? Because if you had asked, are we ever going to see a male in women's swimming, you would have said, well, no, except they're kind of like, and I'm not disparaging, I give a shit about transgender or any of that, but like, as it relates to sports ability and sort of physical ability. We're already seeing that sort of crossover. Are we going to say that? Yeah, I mean, I think we will, but I think they have to define that. I think that has to be sort of a definition or a non-definition. If they just start saying, who gives a shit, we're going to let everybody play. And if you can play, you can play, which is how I kind of, it's not really fair to the women's sports.
Okay. Yeah,
I mean, if we're being honest, like guys are built a little bit.
Well, I saw this female athlete talk about that the other day in an interview, and I don't know if I sent that to you, but yeah, it was crazy because, like, man, these female athletes busting their ass, and they're like, I mean, is it really fair? Like, we train our whole lives, and then you just throw someone in there that's like just superior. Like, even like an average dude is like far superior than some of these. Well,
that's the thing, though, is like fair. There is no fair. What they need to do, in my opinion, is find a sort of chemical, because we're talking about hormones here, largely, right? I mean, we're talking about, that's why steroids work. We were talking about steroids. Mm-hmm. This is largely a hormone issue, and how much testosterone or how much estrogen or how much, HGH, or like those are things that factor into athletic performance, obviously, because they have turned into performance enhancing drugs.
That's what you and I lacked back in high school.
Right. Exactly. Yes. So if they want to be honest about this shit, I think they just need to start having sort of categories of human performance. And then if you're a scrawny dude but you love fucking softball and you can go out and you can beat some of the other players, Godspeed, man, because a lot of the girls that are playing softball are fucking major athletes. And if you're, a scrawny, skinny kid, but you love softball, you should still get a shot. And if you're good, you're good. Same with a woman. Like, if there's a badass, women's softball player there that can compete at the major league level, go.
There you go.
Go nuts.
There you go. You heard it here. You heard it here from Lee. All right. So, Lee, now, if you could play, I asked Jared this on the pod, I don't know, a few months ago. But if you could play baseball in any era, doesn't matter what year, what decade, what era would it be? Would it be now because you make more money, or would it be like back in the day because, like, you're the king of everything, like everyone just revered you and you're like the biggest icon on the planet? Like, what era would you want to play if you could play in any era?
The 80s.
The 80s? Okay.
Yeah, because that was like the 80s it's probably the worst era for professional baseball as far as being a fan. But like, if you love baseball, what an awesome era. It was an era where sort of like you had to know what was going on. You couldn't just turn it on any channel, and baseball was more pure. Everything gets sort of impure by purist standards, but like that was an era where, I think I showed you that thing where, 70s and 80s, Reggie Jackson hit a home run and kind of pimped it on his way out of the box. The pitcher got pissed. Reggie Jackson crossed the plate and then charged the mound after he hit a home run. Like, that's my era of baseball. I want that era. I want an era where a dude pimps a home run. He expects next time to get hit in the ribs.
Right.
Like, that's what I want. I like that baseball was pre-steroid for the most part. Those dudes were doing all that they could. But in the case of like Wade Boggs, he was just drinking a case of beer before the game.
So pre-steroid, late Coke.
Yeah. Pre-steroid, yes. But also, hey, I guess if we're talking about being a Major League Baseball player, that was probably a good time to have baseball groupies. So
there you go.
So maybe we should say, borrow a Corolla-ism here. I'd like to play baseball mid-Coke, pre-AIDS. That sounds fun. Just hotel.
So we're talking like maybe like 78 to 82-ish like era. Like
maybe a little. Like I'd take early 70s. Early 70s looked fun.
Okay. Yeah,
I want a decent career. I don't want a 6-year career. I want like 1972 to 1984.
Okay, but like I always look back. Did you seen that Ken Burns documentary of baseball?
Oh yeah.
The 70s era is hilarious. It's like they just all look bearded out, and like big old like just facial hair, and it's like hilarious.
That's what I love about it.
Great. It's like
that's
so
what I love
great.
about it. Is
it's the greatest.
And it was sort of a forgotten era. Like we were going from like natural ballparks to like weird AstroTurf shit, and like it's sort of a forgotten era where,
because the 60s was like the glam kind of like the era, right? Like the 50s and 60s.
50s, 60s. I mean, it was baseball was huge, whatever. Like mid to late 70s to like mid to late 80s. It's a really forgotten era. But baseball was still there. It was still awesome, and there were still awesome players, and they were still playing awesome baseball. Yeah. It's just nobody gave a shit.
Yeah. So
that's when I would do. That's when I would do it. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Lee, we brought up baseball cards just a bit ago, but what is you sold one for $500. Is that the most valuable card that you've ever owned?
No.
What's the most valuable card that you own or owned?
Well, it's hard to say. So I sold 5 cards. I had 5 cards autographed by Ken Griffey Jr. in 1989, in June of 1989 at Vasa Park in Issaquah, just down the road from where I live now. I pass it almost every day. He was doing an autograph signing for a company picnic for Alaska Airlines, and my dad's second wife worked for Alaska Airlines. So I took my cards down there and got them all signed, and then I just tucked them away, saved them for 30 years, and then I finally sent them in and got them graded. And if they had come back graded higher, I could have paid off my house, because at least one of those cards. So I saw one 1989 Upper Deck autographed card sell for $55,000. And so I had a 1989 Upper Deck, an 89 Bowman, an 89 Donruss.
Do you still have any of these signed cards left, or are they?
Yeah. In fact, I say so. The autographed ones weren't super important to me, except one. So I had one. So anyway, I'll finish that. So those are probably the most valuable cards I've had. I sold them. I'll let people look it up. I basically sold those for enough money to buy an Omega Speedmaster Racing watch. If people want to look,
that? Like
it's a wristwatch, but I mean it's just south of $10,000.
Wow.
So
okay,
and
some nice change there.
It was awesome because these are just dumb little pieces of cardboard I carried for 30 years.
Yeah.
So those are definitely the most valuable cards I've ever sort of quantified and sold. But I did save at least one autograph card that's certainly my favorite card in 1989, earlier 89. So this would have been, April or May of 89. So Griffey was a rookie in 89. So this is only a few months into his career. My dad showed up at my house in the morning. So my parents are divorced. And my dad showed up before school, and he said, "Hey, you're not going to school today." I said, "Really? Okay, what are we doing?" He said, "Well, we're going to go into my office, and then we're going to go to the Mariners game." I was like, "Ooh, great." So I went and grabbed my card. It was one card. It was a 1989 Donruss card. I wonder if I've got that handy. I could probably almost show it to you. But so my dad took me out of school, went down, and he worked for AT&T, and at the time he was at the AT&T building, which is the kind of the one next to the Columbia Center in Seattle. As dads do with their kids, sometimes bring them down, you introduce them to all the people at the office, you do all that stuff. So we did all that, and then it was what they called a businessman special, which is just a day game, a 1 p.m. game. And we went down there, and we were right on third base, like 10 rows up or something in the Kingdome, and nobody there. I mean, it's a day game in like May in 1989. There's 6,000 fans or something. And so I took that card and I waited, couldn't get it autographed, whatever. And then at the end of warm-ups, at the end of batting practice, I saw Griffey coming in, and there was nobody down at the fence. Nobody was down and I saw him coming, and I was like, I think he might sign it. So I ran down there, I had my Sharpie, and he signed one card that day, and it was my card.
Wow.
And so I, saved it, whatever. And that's the card that, like, there isn't an amount of money that I would trade for that one, because that was kind of, it's weird because awesome day with my dad. But also, that's kind of the day that I knew that I was going to head toward baseball in some way. That was kind of the day that I went, I kind of got to be here. And then that winter, I applied at the Mariners and got a job and started in 1990.
That's awesome.
And I mean, that led to everything else. I mean, obviously I met Jewel there. I proposed to Jewel on the field, at the new ballpark. That moment is really pivotal. And occasionally people get those, like those moments that you can point to in your history that are like, that moment changed the whole direction of where I was going to go. Which,
That's so cool.
At 12 or whatever, I didn't know what direction I was going to go, but it certainly had an impact. So, I mean, have you ever had one of those? Like a moment you can look back and go, oh man, yeah, that's a moment that turned the trajectory.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about it, but I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but like that card and sort of that power of baseball and sort of baseball cards and sort of those moments. And I love it when players understand that those moments are huge, because some players take it for granted and they don't pay attention to people. And I get it. A lot of people want shit from them, especially in the commodity business where, like, if you get an autograph, you can go sell it and whatever. But, like, for that one thing, Junior ran from the outfield on a dumb day game in April or May of his rookie year, and signed one autograph. And it changed it changed my entire life. That's so cool, man.
I got a job at the Mariners. I followed that through. I met my fiance. The whole thing changed. And I'm not saying that was 100% responsible, but it kind of, it was a nudge. So, yeah.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that story. Now, just as like memorabilia in general, because I know you worked for the Mariners for many years after that moment, what's like a treasured piece of memorabilia that's not a card that you have that is like something that's very cherished by you?
I have a few things. You can't really collect much when you work for a team, otherwise you're thank you very much and move on.
Yeah.
But I did get a few things over the years. And Junior, like, he and I were definitely not, friends or whatever, but we were acquaintances. So, like, I was in the clubhouse enough. And so there were a few things. I've got a bat that he broke coming out of a game. We used to have to get the players for the post-game interview. Like, we would go down there at the end of the game, and the guys would send us down from the booth with a little headset and the bag and whatever. And they would call down and say, or they'd send it. Actually, it was before they could call down there or whatever. And they'd say, hey, and unless something big happens, it's pick Edgar, like ask Edgar. And then your backup is Dan Wilson or whatever. It's because Kevin Kremen or Niehaus would say, hey, these are the people we want to get. And so we went down there, and you just wait in the tunnel, which in the Kingdom was just a dark tunnel. It was literally just a tunnel, and you couldn't see the game. You could hear the crowd. You could do whatever, and you just stood there and waited for the game to end. And so I was standing down there, and somebody, hear kind of a crack, and the crowd goes, and so I was like, okay, somebody got out. Well, Junior comes into the tunnel, and he never showed emotion really on the field negative, and he just walked in the tunnel, and the Mariners tunnel was like it's a steel tube, and you'd get out to the other end into the underneath the stadium, and he just went, motherfucker, and he smashed the bat, and the barrel rolled down kind of near my feet, and the handle I couldn't find, so I ended up with the barrel, and he went into the clubhouse, whatever, and then came back, and clearly he had popped out or something. And then we went and did the post-game, whatever. I don't remember what happened with the post-game, but I ended up with that bat somehow, that barrel. And then another buddy of mine that he and I used to go for the conversions, and the conversions were baseball to football or vice versa. And when we were there, in that tunnel, they had a batting tee, and the players had a game up above. They had cut a piece of warning track with different size holes in it, and they had awards. So they would basically bet each other in the tunnel. They would try and throw the ball through. The consequence of that is there were cable trays that carried all the cables for TV and all the other shit in the Kingdom, and there were a ton of baseballs up there. So you and I were recipients of that. You knew, like, that's why I always had a backpack full of Major League Baseballs for our home run derby. Because we would just climb up there at the thing, and we'd just fill our backpacks with Major League Baseball batting practice balls. So anyway, we were climbing up there, and my buddy, I'll leave his name out of it, but he climbed up there, and he's like, "Oh my God, look at this!" And he held up the handle. And I was like, "No way. Dude, I have the barrel of that. I need that. And he's like, no fucking way.
Oh, no.
I was like, I'll trade you a Buhner bat for it. And so he's like, okay. And so, and he
awesome.
He actually has some great memorabilia. He and I were both, we were around in the clubhouse in 95. He was not shy about getting pictures taken and everything. I definitely was. I definitely did not want my picture taken. I have a cork from a champagne bottle from the celebration in 95.
That's awesome.
But he has pictures of him smoking a cigar with Randy Johnson pouring a beer on his head, arm around Griffey, like a whole
These pictures
big
are fantastic,
thing.
by the way.
They're just, and goddamn, he was the smarter one. What a great fucking thing to have.
You've told me several times that you're just not that guy. You've never been that guy with any situation. Like,
no.
You don't take advantage of these kind of situations. He did. Yeah. I always do. Like you famously have told me several times. You're like, I literally would not have any pictures for like 10 years of my life if it wasn't for you.
Yeah. So, no, I definitely am not big on pictures of myself to begin with, but also that was kind of calculated. I did not want to ruin my ability to walk in that clubhouse and have people feel like I wasn't there to get something from them.
Yeah.
And it resulted in me having a long career there and a career that I am still very welcome in that, in that environment.
Trust building. Yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't have to worry about that. Oh, that's the kid that always like comes over here and wants shit.
And I'll say this, you know, my buddy that I'm talking about did not have a long career at the Mariners. Not because of that. You know, just because I think those things sort of correspond a little bit. So I chose that to be there. So anyway, I have that bat, and then I've also got a pair of cleats, game worn Griffey cleats that are kind of cool. It's kind of cool. There's some baseball cards, and I have a poster somewhere where he's wearing those exact cleats.
That's awesome.
So and I've got a batting glove from I think his rookie year that just says junior on it. So a few little things that sort of, you know, I picked up along the way.
Unless anybody think that these guys were like one day looking for their cleats. Where are my cleats? What's going on here? I used to remember you talk about like how they'd be like they have closets of this
that was like currency stuff. So like when I say this, it isn't like I mean occasionally some of that stuff, like I remember either Jeter or A-Rod had I think it was A-Rod had his gloves stolen or whatever. And it was a big deal, like, oh my God, I can't play my game. But you got to understand, most of these guys have, you know, obviously contracts with their glove manufacturers. Obviously, Griffey had Nike contracts. It was almost like a currency there in the clubhouse. Like guys would be like, hey, do you want this? You want that? And sort of open. It wasn't really. I can't say it was, you know, sanctioned.
Yeah.
But in the era of steroids, it was similar to how steroids was treated. You know, like, hey, you're doing it. We're not really, you know. So anyway, those are kind of the cool. I mean, I got a couple cool things.
Yeah,
but honestly,
that's cool, man. It's cooler
really
than
tried
anything that most people I've ever met have. So there you go. And you didn't have to like buy it at an auction. You can validate the fact that. Well, I don't know if you could. I mean, I'm sure you can somehow, right? I don't know if you...
I mean, I imagine, you know, my 20 years of passes that show clubhouse access might be proof.
There you go. There you go.
All right. I mean...
Lee, another question here. So, one of your other loves in baseball is food.
Mm-hmm.
Lee loves his food, man. Let's not...
I do.
Now, what you have mentioned to me before that you always have like if you attend a game, you always have a go-to couple things that you have to buy, right?
Yep. I always get a dog. I get a dog.
You get a hot dog.
Yep. The beer thing, I used to do always a dog and a beer. Minimally. But now it's a dog and a Diet Coke or whatever. But like the hot dog is a guaranteed, I got to get at least one hot dog.
Now, it's funny because I went to the spring training here in Peoria, and gosh, it's so crazy how much they charge for this stuff.
Oh,
and it's
man.
like, God, really? And it's just like it's not a special,
like a movie theater.
Right, but it's not a special like hot dog or anything like that. You think like, it's a $8 hot dog. You're like, it's like this just regular little, just cruddy little hot dog. And I'm like, wow, man.
But that's the movie theater thing. They know you can't go anywhere else.
Right. And they know that, like, how many people can, you're going to a baseball game and going in that you're going to spend lots of money on stuff that you can go on the way and, like, get a burger.
You can spend $2 on a dog out on the curb. Yes.
But it's part of the tradition of the game, right?
Is.
So, like, get a hot dog or get a beer or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that's one thing. So speaking of that, though, that's another memory I have with the same dude that we were just talking about. When the Mariners were getting the new ballpark, they had to interview all the vendors and all the stuff. They had to find new vendors. And so in the Mariners front office, they had a thing downstairs in kind of the conference. They had like a little conference area. So we would get these notices like, hey, XYZ meat company is doing their bid for the concessions contract. So come on down. And for a couple of days that week, we'd get food from them for lunch. And so that my buddy and I would go down there. I swear, man, I must have had 20 hot dogs, like not all in one sitting, like from different people. And I will say, when we first got the stadium, the hot dogs and the buns were way different. They were way, way better. They are getting some really good stuff now. Like this year, the hot dog was better. The food is getting better again, but I think they kind of went from the new ballpark and our team sucks, so we have to kind of, offer something better to, we better save some money to now, hey, we're gonna get back to kind of the fan experience. So this year I can say that the Mariners have some really good food again now.
Well, I did see, because they started messing with the rules of the game, but like I did see that the stadiums now they're starting to extend beer sales, right?
Yeah,
at some
no shit.
The stadiums.
No
so,
shit.
Like,
Go ahead.
But I was just going to say, like, from the end of the 7th inning to now the 8th inning, due to games being shorter on average by about 30 minutes. Now, I just saw something today.
Yeah, you and I saw the same thing, which is exactly the guy nailed it.
It's so great, right?
He nailed it.
He was like, shouldn't it be, if you guys cared about like the people that are attending the games and the people that are driving around afterwards.
If the reason that you cut it off in the 7th is for fan safety, then you just fucking got caught in a lie.
Yeah, it's so great. It's so great.
Yeah, and so I love it. I love that hypocrisy. I love that the pitch clock is messing with a bunch of stuff. I hope it goes away forever. The pitch
so
clock
you're not a
doesn't belong
fan
in
of the
baseball.
new pitch clock?
No, it's fucking retarded. It is an invention by non-baseball people for a game trying to attract marginal fans who didn't give a shit to begin with, and they're pandering to them instead of making baseball understandable for kids so that they will enjoy the game and let people who already understand it go enjoy it. They're trying to turn it into something it's not. Baseball was never a timed sport. That's not who. Nobody goes to baseball to be excited every fucking play. It's not that sport.
Now, there has been kind of like a trailing off of baseball as far as popularity goes, and I think that that's part of the reason why they're trying to do something to fix excitement in the game without bringing Roids back publicly. I don't know.
But that's a simple thing. Like, they have neglected sponsoring Little League and youth baseball in a major way. The biggest sponsor of Little League baseball should be Major League Baseball. Not because those kids are going to turn into Major League players, but because a kid who plays a sport and understands a sport is going to become a fan of that sport. Then they're going to have kids who are fans of that sport. Baseball has fallen off because there has not been investment in baseball. So that's number one. They haven't focused on investing in creating people who understand the game.
Well,
and when people don't understand the game, they think it's boring.
You're right, too, in the sense that I recently read an article about why there are so few black Major League players in baseball today. And that was fascinating. I never thought about that, really.
There's no baseball fields in black neighborhoods.
Right. It's like so weird. I mean, and it's got to be like NBA and football, right? Like that. You see, that's where you see like the younger black generation playing sports. But like they kind of like said, well, baseball is more expensive to play. But I'm like, wait a minute. I guess I guess for basketball you just need a basketball, right? To play. But it's also there's got to be other factors too, right? There's not. They also talked about how there's not like a lot of. It kind of affects it because there's not a lot of black players in the league currently, so they're not looking up to black players.
That's another thing I was going to say. So to me, it's three things. It's they're not investing in Little League and sort of teaching people the game. I also think on the teaching people the game thing, there should be an alternate channel, audio channel, video channel, whatever it is, for every game that people can switch to where you can get the John Madden experience saying, here's why this guy moved here, here's why this guy did that, here's why the catcher moved his foot, here's why this. Because then you can start watching the game within the game and it becomes exciting. That's what football did really well is instead of a bunch of big guys smashing into one another and people who didn't play football going, I don't know what's going on, they said, here, look at the linebacker, look at him cover the flat here when the running back comes out. You start understanding the game.
I love that. I love how you put that, the John Madden thing. He really did John Madden so much football to people. Yeah.
The John Madden telestrator is what baseball needs to embrace and say, see these guys shifting? This is why. First of all, because they're fucking stupid, and if Tony Gwynn was in the league, he would laugh at them and hit 900 every year. But also, just explain it. Teach people the game, and they won't be bored by it because there are a million things happening on every play that people don't know if they don't know. But also it's exactly that thing that you said, like if people don't see themselves on the screen, they're less inclined to watch.
It's also basketball is such a straight shot, right? So you can go straight from like high school, boom, right into the NBA. Yep. In baseball, you could spend like 10 years in the minors, right? Like,
well, yeah, but you could also go straight to Julio Rodriguez is, he was 19. I mean, like Griffey was 19 when he made the league. Like, you can go straight from high school for sure. But I mean, that's the thing is like, I think people don't see themselves in baseball anymore, and it starts with because they didn't play baseball. We all played Little League. I don't know that that's true anymore. Kids are playing fucking lacrosse and shit now.
Or just not playing sports.
Yeah. But then the third and probably biggest thing is the fucking blackouts. They've sold baseball again in a way that makes it really hard to find if you're a fan.
That's what I always talk. Now, when I talk about baseball now, that's what I always talk about. You guys are like, hey, you guys watching the game? And I'm like, where? Where are you finding the game? And by the way, if I do find the game, then I sometimes I will like go to the channel and they're like, you want to pay? You want to pay to watch this? And I'm like, what? Oh, no. Like
even when we were growing up,
we knew where to find these games. Like they were always they were always on. And they were like, especially sports like the NBA. Like the NBA is another one of those kind of sports where like, where's this? Where is it? Where is it? Where do I find the NBA? Like
I have no idea where to watch an NBA game.
I don't know either. Like, but remember when we were growing up, NBC. It was like, you know, it was just like there. It was always there. You always had these players on the screen. You knew where to find the game. It was a no-brainer, and that is why NFL is the king, because they make these massive contracts with the major networks, and you always know where to watch these games, and they put up the top games every week, and everybody has to watch them if you want to watch these games.
But they're the only league that has the luxury of having only 16 games or 17 now.
Sure, absolutely.
You can't make a deal with NBC to say you're going to show a primetime game in baseball every single day for 6 months.
Well, yeah, that's
won't
true.
Do it.
But also, you know, the NFL, it has been, I didn't know this either. I thought it was much later. Do you know when the NFL took over in this country as being the most popular sport in the entire country? This is crazy. I didn't know it was this far back.
Oh, when it became the first, like,
yeah, when
top...
it became the king, it basically overtook, you know, the America's Pastime.
Sure. I'm going to say when Howard Cosell was in Monday Night Football in when was that? 79?
1972.
Oh, 72. Okay, so I didn't know what
It's crazy. I thought it was like, I thought it had to be in like the 80s, but I guess not.
To me, that's a clear thing. As soon as you can broadcast to people in prime time and you can dominate the screen, you win. And that was back when there were only 3 big networks. So, and Howard Cosell and all the, you know, I don't know, all the personalities.
Yeah, that's because those guys were. It was kind of like the hosts are just as famous as the show, kind of like The Voice or something,
Right.
I'm trying to think of like a show where, like you tune in for the hosts or whatever, American Idol.
It isn't
whatever.
that way anymore. Yeah, there aren't any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is another, just going back to that, the race thing, 57.5% of the league is white. And
major leagues?
In the major leagues. And
Yeah.
31.7 is Hispanic, and only 7.5% is black.
Yeah.
And then you have Asian is 2.9/other. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know what the stats are for, American born versus international. It's definitely a global sport now.
Sure.
And, especially Latin America, where that's weather, if nothing else, because baseball, you need to kind of have dry weather to play.
Well, and don't they, I was reading too in that, I think it was that same article, they groom those young athletes over there.
Oh yeah.
They groom them from
that was one of the great
ages.
things. That was one of the great things to see, during the World Baseball Classic. Those countries fucking love baseball.
Yeah.
The Japanese, I'm not kidding. It was in the 90s for percent of households in Japan that were tuned into the final. 90% of, I'll have to look it up. I should look it up. It's a stunning amount of households tuned into the World Baseball Classic.
That's wild. It's like soccer in other countries.
Yeah, USA versus Japan averages highest viewership ever for World Baseball Classic game.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'd never even heard of it until this year. And everybody was posting about it. Everyone was texting me about it. And I'm like, what's going on? What is this? What is this? Because I guess I don't follow baseball anymore.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it's kind of a weird consequence because World Baseball Classic was around, but also it's sort of supposed to be the Olympics, but Olympics don't always have baseball. I don't know how that all shit works, but really, I think the reason people paid attention, if we're being honest, this year is because of Shohei Ohtani. He is a transformative player. He is. I don't know what to say about Shohei Ohtani that doesn't make it sound like he's a fucking comic book hero. Except he's that good. He is that good. He's going to get the largest contract in sports history next year. He'll get $800 million.
Jeez.
He is one of the best pitchers in the major leagues and one of the best, if not the best hitter. He is astonishingly talented. It's unbelievable. And he's a great outfielder when he's not pitching.
So he's the one that you say he is better than Babe Ruth.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And I only say that because it's you can't compare different eras because they're different, right?
Hard to compare.
That's the argument that every sports fan will always have is Babe Ruth better than Griffey, whatever. But I think there's a clear dividing line for Babe Ruth because he didn't compete against minority players.
Right.
And if he had ever had to play against those guys, he certainly wouldn't have had those numbers. Because they were just the talent pool was restricted.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but like those countries and those the places that were playing in the Baseball Classic really showed off how much Japan and the Latin American countries love their baseball.
Yeah.
And kind of how much America is just sort of meh.
Right. Yeah.
Like we're just sort of meh.
Yeah.
Like their fans were nuts. They were all crazy. I think I showed you
it's always fun to watch, right?
Yeah.
The fans can sometimes be more like fun to watch than the actual games in any sport.
Yeah. Yeah. There was an awesome video of like a bunch of, I forget which team it was. A bunch of fans behind home plate. They were into the game so much that like there's a screenshot of them or a quick little GIF where the pitcher pitches a ball that's kind of borderline or whatever, and the batter takes a swing, and they all want to have the first base umpire check to see if his swing went around. Before the umpire behind home plate asks, literally 50 people behind home plate are just all pointing to first saying, "We want to check." And it's like those guys were into the game. All of them were that into the game that immediately they knew to call for the first. Like it was awesome to see.
That's so great.
Because you look at baseball now, and most of the people behind the plate are like,
not all the Pirates fans are excited.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. Yeah. What's on my Instagram right now? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And just sort of whatever. And somebody hits a home run, and then they're like, oh, okay. So to see those guys engaged, I don't know. It was super fun.
That's great. All right, a couple more questions here for you, Lee, because we got to talk about music, right? We got to talk about the music of baseball here, real quick. So, Lee, what are a couple of your favorite songs in baseball? Like, there's like every sport, there's like songs about the sport, or songs talking about the sport or whatever. But what songs come to mind? What are some of your favorite songs when it comes to baseball?
John Fogerty, center field.
Oh, it's fantastic. That's a great. That's a great song.
And I wouldn't have said this until we moved, out near Chicago. But we went to a Cubs game and the Cubs won. Cubs beat the Mariners on a squeeze play in the 11th inning. The first Cubs game I went to was fucking awesome. I wish the Mariners would have won, but whatever. And then everybody sticks around after the thing, and they all sing the Cubs song, which is "Go Cubs, Go."
Oh yeah,
go Cubs, go. So I don't know. Like I think that's kind of humorous.
Don't let Rich Falls hear that.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. This isn't a baseball song, except it kind of is. "Thunderstruck" by AC/DC.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Because that was the home run song that they would play most often when Griffey hit a home run, and of course there was that one moment where. I think I forget exactly how it went, but like we were at your house and, I said, hey, get this ready. And Junior went, which, look, I'm not clairvoyant. Junior was going to hit the ball out, a fair amount of the time he stepped up. And then it just happened that he did. And I was like, ready, set, go, hit it.
That was legendary.
Played that and
that was legendary. See, that's the kind of stuff that I wish that was on film, but it's not.
Yeah, no. At least Griffey's home run was on the field, which... If we're being honest, that's probably the greater achievement.
You know what song kind of is... It's so ubiquitous with, like, baseball, and it's so, everybody knows it. Everybody knows the song, Take Me Out to the Ball Game, or whatever,
right.
Take Me Out to the Park, whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like to me, it's kind of like almost like a nursery rhyme, like, song.
Yeah, it's
like not... I'm like, all right, it's like kind of like the hokey pokey. I'm like,
it totally is. Yeah, I'm with you there.
But it's like for every game, like you're like, take me out to... I'm like, okay, like.
Yeah, it is kind of a trend. Like the cool thing I think about that is, it does make me feel like I'm back in the
like
days
a little
when
kid,
the guys were all wearing the hats and
because it came out like then, right? Like the
it had to have.
I don't even know when it came out, but yeah. And then Lee? What is the greatest walk-up song of all time? There's a lot of these, right? There's a lot of walk-up songs, but like, what are some of the most memorable walk-up songs you could ever think of? Like back in the history.
I'm just going to keep going back to Griffey because obviously I was paying attention to him, but Hip Hop Hooray was pretty awesome because it got the whole crowd kind of, joining in. That's honestly, it's walk-up songs. I don't know that I remember too many other walk-up songs.
So I had memory. I had a couple written down. It's funny because do you know what Randy Johnson's was?
No.
They had Welcome to the Jungle for that.
Oh, okay. Totally. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And they had Derek Jeter's Montel Jordan. This is how we do it.
This is how we do it. Yep.
Yep. They had Chipper Jones, Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train.
All right. And
then the GOAT, the king of them all, Lee. Not even a question. I can't believe you'd even name this. This is ridiculous. Wild Thing.
Oh, fuck. Well, yeah.
Wow.
So, but I was thinking about just walk-up songs for hitters. But yeah, there are a couple of pitcher songs that, of course, Wild Thing. And Enter Sandman for Mariano Rivera. Who actually, if there are two Yankees that actually I'm cool with, Rivera was really great, and so is Jeter. I mean, I hate to say Jeter was great. Jeter was fucking amazing.
Jeter's just the GOAT to me because he would give gift baskets to the girls after they came and visited
after he
penthouse.
Humped them.
Yeah. It's like I have here's a gift basket, and there's a car outside waiting for you to take you home.
Yep.
So,
thank you very much.
Thanks for visiting.
Thanks for a fun night. Yep. He's the GOAT to me because he made one of the most incredible, intuitive plays of all time. Like, I don't know, the play in 2001 against the A's that kind of saved their playoff run, where he intercepted a ball that was sort of a stray on a throw to home plate from right field, and they call it the flip. And I think he tagged out Jason Giambi. It was 2000 or 2001.
Wow.
And if people watch that play, the most stunning thing is, first of all, he had the athleticism to get there, but second, there's no map for that. Nobody in baseball would have ever told him to be there. The shortstop is not supposed to be anywhere on that side of the field at all, cutting off anything for that play. The fact that he was there is supernatural.
Wow.
He didn't belong there. He didn't belong anywhere near that thing, and then he had the wherewithal to pick the ball, flip it, and get the tag. Some argument could be made whether the tag was actually made, but it's irrelevant to me. That would be like if, Geno Smith threw the ball and caught it himself for a touchdown. Like, you'd be like, what? How did he?
Wow.
I don't understand how he got there. I don't understand why he thought that was possible, and then he pulled it off. I don't understand it. That play alone, right there, makes Jeter. It doesn't make him the greatest, but he's up
there. He's in the conversation. No, like, Lee, I've heard from people. This isn't me. This is not me. But I've heard from many people that he wasn't even the best shortstop on the team.
I mean, fucking A-Rod was the shortstop, right?
Yeah.
But A-Rod didn't.
But he was the captain, and that was his team. So I don't know.
But also, A-Rod never wanted to be a shortstop. A-Rod's hero was Cal Ripken. Yeah, A-Rod's hero was Cal Ripken Jr.
Okay.
And Cal Ripken played third base. A-Rod was too tall to play shortstop, if we're being honest. He was the same dimension as Ripken, except then once A-Rod got all heavy from his steroids, he couldn't move like a shortstop needs to move.
Well, he had Dolly Parton boobs, right?
Yeah, and his hip fucking necrosis and whatever. So no, he was a third baseman anyway. Like he didn't. I don't think he gave a shit when they moved him to third. He just wanted to be on the Yankees
anyways, right? I want to be on the greatest team of all time, right?
Yeah,
so,
he wanted to be the greatest player on the greatest team of all time.
Now, did they ever win a championship when he was there?
They did win one.
Oh, yeah. They did? Okay.
Yeah, which is kind of sad because he fucked up a couple of their runs by sucking, and then he got suspended with what at the time was the longest suspension in baseball history.
Now, is he the most hated Yankee of all time?
I think he has to be, right?
Probably, right? Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's some from way back in the day, but I can't think of any hated Yankees.
You're right.
That are universal. The thing about A-Rod is he's hated by Yankee fans.
Right.
Like he's not, and he was really fucking great as a baseball player. He's really great. He was
and he was also known for like having some of the greatest regular seasons of all time, and then he would be horrible in the postseason.
Yep.
Oh man. Oh gosh.
Yep. And a horrible teammate and a horrible guy in the clubhouse and whatever. Speaking of memorabilia, I did have a pair of his shoes, but I just wore them. And then when they wore out, and then I wore them to like mow the lawn and shit. And then when they wore out, I threw them in the dumpster at my job.
God! Well, one of the
if I had saved those,
ever
they would have been worth a lot of money. But whatever.
When he signed that ridiculous contract with the Rangers, and he came back to play the Mariners, and just all that monopoly money raining down on the.
Rafael Palmeiro called what happened Monday night to Rodriguez in Seattle the hardest thing I've seen a player go through. Well, Harold Reynolds spent some time with Rodriguez on the day he returned to Seattle.
We're at Safeco Field before the arrival of Alex Rodriguez. It's peaceful now, but a storm is coming. It's A-Rod's return as we know it. It's A-Rod's return as we know it. And I feel fine. You know the story tonight. Alex Rodriguez makes his return to Safeco Field.
Kim and Monroe, you're on KJR. Andrew on the car phone.
Every time there's a ground ball hitting his direction, you boo him before he even makes the play. And
boo the crap out of him. The guy's useless. I'm going to boo him tonight because I hate the guy. His ego is going to drive Texas into the ground.
We are ready for the return of Alex Rodriguez. Hell yeah! Anybody want a mustache paper for just $1? Are you gonna boo or you gonna cheer?
I'm not gonna boo him.
I'm going to boo.
Cheer.
I'm gonna boo him. Cheer, for sure.
I'll probably boo. I'll probably boo.
Boo!
I'm just going to turn my back. He had said, that it wasn't about the money, and in the end it was. And so I'm going to carry a sign that says, sold out, because I think that's what he did.
There's a preconceived notion out there that people want to kill me, and I think the response has been... Although I'm going to walk up to John Underwood, I might be playing with his helmet tonight on the field. If they boo, I think, it's good. It's good. It's exciting. It's good for baseball. Maybe if I was there and I was a 15-year-old boy, maybe I would boo.
And here's shortstop Alex Rodriguez. One hopper past the diving shortstop. Alex Rodriguez in the center. Wind and the pitch. Swing and a ground ball wide of the mound. Franklin gets to it. Racing A-Rod gets to the bag in time.
The 0-2 pitch to A-Rod on the way. Swing and a miss. He cut him out and left him double.
Yep. So that's actually how we got a lot of the memory. Just to give people the idea, we weren't cruising around like looting shit. When people would leave the team or arrive at the team, a lot of the shit just got thrown away. Like I have a pair of Mike Jackson's red Nikes. Somewhere in my shit here, because when Mike Jackson got traded from the Reds to the Mariners, the dumpster outside the clubhouse was just all of his shit from the Reds. He just threw it in there. And so
what a great place to dumpster dive.
It was awesome, man. Like, we were kids. We'd just go dumpster diving in there and find all that shit.
Dude.
Yeah.
So amazing. So awesome. All right, Lee, is there anything else that you have to say about baseball? I mean, we could talk about baseball all day, and night. There's so many stories, but is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think we need to touch just on sort of this difference between baseball old and baseball, or sort of old school versus current. And I'm not sure who's going to be right with history, because what's happening to baseball is it's getting really, really soft, and they're relying on rules and regulations to monitor things. That's the pitch clock. It's the automated strike zone. It's stuff like that. Like, all of these things are coming in, and they're eliminating the ability for baseball to sort of regulate itself, which baseball was one of the only sports out there that sort of had a clear line to keep people in line inside the stripes. Hockey had it with enforcers and protectors, but baseball is really the only sport where you can put a guy in the hospital if you decide to. Like, a pitcher can throw the guy and put him in the hospital.
Right.
No question. And that kept people in line. If you wanted to hit a home run and look like a dick up there swinging, flipping your bat and shit, you could expect to maybe miss some time because somebody was going to bean you. If a pitcher was dicking around, an umpire had the ability to call around him. And now with an automated strike zone, an umpire can't make a guy speed up. Because before, if a pitcher was taking too long, he'd warn the catcher. He'd say, hey, tell your guy to speed the fuck up. And then he'd go out and warn the pitcher and say, you got to pick it up. And if the guy didn't pick it up, he wouldn't get a strike.
Yeah.
That's how you fix baseball. Like, that's how you do it, is you let it regulate itself. And now we're in a weird system where it's like, oh, no, there's this box that shows exactly where a strike zone is, and there's a clock, and that guy has to hurry up, and this guy has to do that, and it's all that shit. Those are all rules for a problem that didn't exist. If they let baseball go, and if they let guys brawl once in a while, and if they let guys bean each other, and if they let people charge the mound.
Make it more hockey, baby. Make it more hockey. Let's do
hockey, man. I mean, but hockey's another one, so they're not allowed to fight, right?
Yeah, that's so
which means I would love to see a study about whether there are more concussions or fewer concussions now. I bet there are more. I mean, like, I was at the game when Matty Beniers for the Kraken got his bell rung. And then there was a fight after, kind of a message sent, whatever. In the past, if that happened, the enforcer for the team that got their star player knocked out of the All-Star game would send a message the next game. They would headhunt whoever hit him, and they would put him in the fucking hospital.
Right.
And then that carries over into the next.
That is definitely missing in sports right now, is all these, grudges, or I remember, I'm not going to forget this, and you're going to pay next time I see you, like you mentioned before. That's not really that's not really a big thing in today's sports. And I was just talking about this with somebody else the other day. It could have been Rich, because most of the sports I talk about with other sports is Rich Falls. And with especially like MMA and boxing, these guys are like hugging. They're like, oh, lovey-dovey after the game. I'm like, what? These guys used to hate each other. They used to hate each other. And they would, and you could tell these guys, now they would later in life, when they calmed down and stuff like that, they respected these guys and they revered them, and they really did, end up speaking nicely about these people. But think about some of these guys back in the day. There was true hate of some of these old fighters and stuff like that.
And that was entertaining, but the part I'm talking about is just that sort of self-regulation. So, like, fighting in hockey is entertaining, and it might be a grudge, it might be personal, but really what it was a way so that a guy like Wayne Gretzky, who wasn't big enough to protect himself, got a chance to score. And Wayne Gretzky is Wayne Gretzky because he had people protecting him.
Right.
If they allow bigger people to come and smash Wayne Gretzky's head every time he comes across the blue line, he doesn't score any goals because he's out of the league.
But tell me it's not fun to watch people fight anyways. Come on.
Oh, of course it is. But that's part of the thing too, is like, if they want things to be entertaining, let it fucking go. Yeah. Let it go. Baseball is super entertaining if you just know what's going on and you let people do it. If you know that if you watch the guy hit a home run or hit a ball or whatever, and he fucking pimps it and stares at the pitcher, and you pay attention, you know that, you will pay attention to the next at bat when that guy comes up, because you're like, this dude's about to get a
come on, dude.
ball.
You don't think that we would be drunk at a baseball game counting down the clock with everybody else?
Oh God, that was
come
so
on,
fun.
Lee. Come on,
that
baby.
almost made me want to leave the fucking game. Retards counting down the goddamn pitch clock like it's a New Year's Eve every fucking pitch for both teams. They were doing it for both teams.
Snuggles back in before 8 on the clock. Out of play.
So you can also say the pitch clock gives something to involve the fans now.
I kind of love it, man.
I don't think anybody thought that was going to happen.
So that's why I say I don't know who's right.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. Maybe this is the best thing baseball has ever invented. I don't know.
All right. We're going to leave it there, Lee. We're going to leave it there. We'll save it for next time. And thanks for coming on the show, buddy. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, cool, dude. Yeah.
Right. So before I close out, last time I said, hey, subscribe to my channel, and it worked. I got like 5 subscribers out of it. So I'm just going to keep saying it. Like, go to my YouTube channel. It's easy to find. It's exactly what it says, the Josh and Friends Podcast. Go to there, check us out. And you know what? For anything else, check out Lee. If he sounds good on audio, wait till you see him in person. He is a looker. So subscribe, view the podcast, follow it, and enjoy. So
look,
help us out.
If you get, I don't know how many subscribers you want. If you get 20 subscribers out of this, I'll shave my head into a mohawk.
Whoa! Do you have a mohawk right now?
For the next set, I do have a mohawk right now.
Ah! I knew it! Maybe you shave it bald. Okay, maybe you shave it bald.
Maybe I shave it bald.
Roll old school. Okay, there you go. Lee will shave his head bald on the next episode if I get... How many did you say? 10?
I don't know. 10? Yeah.
That's pretty steep. That's pretty steep. All right.
Oh, I think you're supposed to say smash that like button, though, aren't you?
All right. Sure. Smash that like button. Let's do it. Smash the like button, hit that bell, whatever you're supposed to say. I don't know. I'm not a YouTuber. So, all right. Okay. For Lee Olson, I'm Josh. And as always, thank you for being a friend.